everyone, and welcome to the Stitch Sessions. It's Karen here, and we've got some holiday crafting in store for you. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can make these absolutely adorable decorative Christmas trees. Really nice and simple, and you are going to be amazed to find out that these three trees in particular have the same number of rounds. So it just goes to show you that depending on the yarn and the hook size that you use, you can make different sizes of trees, and you can create a nice pretty little tablescape or maybe on a mantle or something like that. Even in a window would look really, really pretty. And the other thing that you can do is you can actually turn these into ornaments. So you can just kind of loop a little string through the top, maybe a ribbon. I like to use ribbon myself. Some people like to use like a macrame cording just to make, or a little bit of frayed rope for that rustic feel. I like to use ribbon, and you can just string that through the top and create a pretty little ornament. So you can do a lot of different things with these trees. And I just thought for those that are really into the neutral, vintage, rustic Christmas look, I think these trees are going to be just for you. And these don't take very long to make, so you can whip up a whole bunch of these. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about gathering our materials, and then we're going to stitch up our rustic Christmas tree decoration. Okay, so for today's tutorial, I am going to be using Lion Brand's Wool Ease, and I find this is fantastic for doing things that you need to stand a little bit stiffer, let's say. Let me just grab a brand new skein here. You won't need the whole skein, but out of one skein, you could probably get about 4 of these sized trees. So if you're gonna vary your size, obviously that will vary. But for me and the way I crochet, kind of a medium gauge, I got about four of these trees out of a skein of the Woolies. So it is a super bulky number 6, and it comes in a 5-ounce skein, which is 140 grams or 92 yards or 84 meters. You don't need the whole skein, and as you can see, I've already whipped up a few of these. I also use this in another Christmas decor item. So if that video has already been released, then you would have already seen it. If not, it is coming soon. So you'll get a lot of use out of this Wool Ease skein. And in case you're wondering, this color is called Starlight. Now they have a variety of different colors in this yarn. In particular, they have this one, which is like a cream, and the white for sure. These two in particular have this beautiful little tinsel running through it. This is why I like using it for Christmas decor items. They also have, I think there's like a gray black that has the tinsel, and there's definitely a purple, like a deep purple that I've seen with the tinsel. It would have been nice if they had a green. I would have really loved that. But for some reason, only these 4 colors have the tinsel running through them. So that is the yarn I'm going to be using, and that is the yarn that created this tree as well as this tree. Now this one is a little bit larger because I specifically added more rounds. But as I talked about in the intro, these 3 have the exact same number of rounds. But because I made them with different yarns, it came out in different sizes. So if you want to keep things nice and simple and create different sizes, then just use different weight yarn, okay? So that is the yarn there. And if you're curious as to what I used for these trees, because again, these are both the same number of rounds. And so for this one, this is kind of a newish yarn. It's Caron's Simply Me Mosaic. And this is, I think it's a medium. Oh no, they consider this a bulky weight 5. But honestly, like, this is very comparable to a medium 4. So again, I'm always confused as to what gets thrown in the bulky 5 category or what gets thrown into the medium 4. So they're calling this a bulky number 5, okay? And so that's what created this tree, which is a little bit smaller. And then for this one, which again is the same number of rounds, I used Loops and Threads Carousel Twist yarn. And I love this little pretty little kind of pattern that runs through it. And I'm trying to see, oh, interesting. They also call this a bulky 5. So strange. I would definitely call this a medium 4, but what do I know? And the color, unfortunately, is just a letter or a number. It's CL03. And this colorway just lends itself to so many wonderful things. And I like the fact that it kind of makes me feel like this is like a wintry snow-capped tree. So it's got little speckles of colors in it. So this is all the yarn that I use. So lots of yarn choices for you. And of course, the green tree also was the woolies. It's just that I used the green. And in case you're wondering about the color, it's called Kale. Okay, so now for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using the bulky number 6. So I am going to be using a 6.5 millimeter hook, which is also known as a size K or a 10.5 if you go by that label. Now I would be loosey-goosey about this. For my trees, I use the 6.5, but you could even do like an 8 millimeter hook or even a 9. This is a 9, yeah, which is also known as an N. So again, if you really want to play with size, you can go up a hook size with the same bulky yarn, and you can probably create a slightly larger tree. If you want to go for the 2 smaller ones, both of these, I ended up using a 5 millimeter hook, which is also known as an H or a size 8, okay? And as always, make sure that you have a handy pair of scissors, and then of course a yarn needle to weave in those ends at the end. And if you need to or want to, you can have like a measuring tape if you want to make a specific height. Now, actually, since I'm here, I'll let you guys know that these ones, so this one here came out to just under 4 inches. So that's going to be 10 centimeters. And this one came out to, I would say, 4.5 inches. So that's about 11.5 centimeters. And remember, these are done using the same number of rounds, okay? This one also the same number of rounds. And this one came out to like 6 inches and a quarter. And so that's about 16 centimeters. So they all had 13 rounds of stitches, okay? So keep that in mind. And then this one, I did add more rounds. I think this one had about 16 or 17 rounds. So this one came out to 8 inches, okay? So that's going to be about 20 centimeters. So just something to think about. If you are making this for a specific spot in your home, you may want to have a measuring tape on hand. Okay, so once you've got all of those things gathered together, let's start stitching up our tree. Okay, so we're going to start from the top of our tree and work our way down. So we're going to begin with a cinch circle. So it looks like you're going to start with a slip knot, but what you're going to do is you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to chain 1, and that is going to secure your ring. Now, the stitch we're going to be using is the linked single crochet stitch, and that's what creates this beautiful little kind of bumpy, ridgy effect, which I absolutely love. Super simple stitch using single crochets, but we're going to link them together. Now, for round number 1, I kind of did a little cheat step, and I just used single crochets. So all we're going to do is we're going to reach into this ring, pull up a loop, and single crochet. And we're going to do that a total of 6 times. So we have 2, and make sure to work over that little tail there, okay? And then we have 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so once you have 6 single crochets, you're just going to pull on that tail and see how that cinches it all shut. And don't be afraid to pull nice and tight. There we go. And so now the top of our tree is nice and gathered. So normally at the end of a round, what we would do is we would find the top of the very first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we would slip stitch into that stitch. But in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to just work in the spiral rounds. So we will not be slip stitching at the end of every round. And the other thing I forgot to tell you is you may want to have a stitch marker on hand for this purpose. So I'm going to show you where that's going to come in handy. So in round number 2, what we want to do is you're going to find the top of that stitch and we are going to place a half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, and this is going to need a little bit of help because that first stitch is usually a bit tight there. And then you're going to pull through. Okay, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, so this is now the first stitch of round number 2, and this is a good time to place your stitch marker here. So you remember where your first stitch is. Now, for the rest of round number 2, we are going to be doing a linked single crochets, and we need to find that left leg there of the stitch. This is why the first stitch being the half double crochet is really helpful. So you're going to insert your hook there, and then you work into the next stitch, which is right here. And these first 2 rounds are a little tricky because everything is nice and tight. So you just have to be patient. See, and now it looks like a half double crochet, but remember this loop here belongs to the previous stitch. So this is what links these together. So you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, just like that. Now I do have a tutorial talking all about the linked single crochet stitch. So if you're curious about the main theory behind this stitch, for example, worked in a flat project, then I will leave a link to that lesson in the description box down below. But today we are working on this stitch in the round. So we're going to continue. So now again, we go in through the left leg, and then we find our way to the next stitch. So this stitch has already been worked into. So we go into the next stitch and pull through. And again, go into the left leg, find the next stitch, which is right here. And see, your work wants to curl up, and that's okay, that's normal. We'll eventually manipulate it to curl down. Just like that. And you keep going until you reach your stitch marker. Okay, so we've reached our stitch marker and your work is curling up, which is it is wont to do, and that's totally okay. What we're going to do is we're just going to turn it down, so that way we can continue working down. And you can definitely see there's the tip of our tree and there's the top right there. So in this project, in order to create that little flare, you're going to need to do some increase rounds. And so what we're going to do here is in every 3rd round is where we're going to place increases. So around 1, we created 6 stitches. Around 2, we just placed 1 stitch into each. There were no increases. We still have 6 stitches. We're now going to go on to round number 3, and this is where we're going to add some increases. So in round number 3, we are now going to increase into every single stitch. This means that every stitch is going to get 2 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this marker out because we're going to work right into that next stitch. And so we're going to still insert our hook into the left leg and work over into the next stitch. And into the stitch, we're going to place 2 of these linked single crochets. So there's 1. And I like to do a good practice of replacing that stitch marker immediately. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to go back into the same stitch. So this time when I insert through the left leg, I'm not going to find the next stitch. I'm going to go right back into where I just worked out of. And link single crochet. Okay, so there's 2 stitches into 1. And then I do that for every single stitch. So now I work into the left leg here. And this is the stitch I just worked into. So we're going to go into the next stitch. So it's getting a little easier to see. and then again into the left leg and back into the same stitch. Just like that. So you are going to do that for every single stitch. When you get to your stitch marker, you should now have 12 stitches in total. Okay, so round 3 is complete and I now have 12 stitches. And just pull on that tail. You can snip it a little bit shorter if you want, but eventually it just gets tucked into. I am actually going to do that. This is a bit too long, just to get it out of the way. Okay, so you can see it slowly starting to take shape, and you can see the flares starting to happen a little bit. So now for round 4 and 5, there will be no increases. So we're just simply going to place 1 stitch into every stitch. So I'm going to take out my marker, and I'm going to just do the same technique. Always insert through the left leg, find the next stitch, and link, single crochet, and then continue on. So 1 into each stitch. So for row 4 and row 5, you should still have a total stitch count of 12. Okay, I've just completed round number 5 and I still have 12 stitches. So we're going on to round number 6, and that will require an increase. Remember, every 3rd round we're increasing. Now in this round, what we're going to do is we're going to increase into every 2nd stitch. So the very first stitch, okay, we'll get a stitch here. So that's a linked single crochet on its own. And now the 2nd stitch would get the increase. So I would place 1, and then I would place 2 right back into that stitch. Okay, so your pattern is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. So at the end of round number 6, you should have a total count of 18 stitches. Now remember, for round 7 and 8, there will be no increases. So it's just 1 into each, and you will still have 18 stitches. So I will meet up with you at the end of round number 8. Okay, round number 8 is complete. I have 18 stitches. So let's compare here. Let's get this tree. So I still have a ways to go, but it's pretty much almost halfway there. So see, these are really, really quick to whip up. So let's go on to round number 9, and that is an increase round. And so for round number 9, we are going to be increasing into every 3rd stitch. So what we're going to do for round number 9 this time is we're going to start with the increase. So we have 1 linked double. Oh, it's not a double. I keep wanting to say linked double. It's a linked single crochet. So there's 1. I'm going to replace my marker. And then back into the same stitch, I place the 2nd one. So I've got my increase. And now I'm going to work 2 regular stitches. So 1 into this stitch. And then I link it to the next stitch. So 2 stitches get 1 stitch each. So the pattern is going to be 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 all the way around. So your stitch count is going to go from 18 to 24. So at the end of round number 9, you're going to have 24 stitches. Then you're going to go on to round 10 and 11 with no increases. You're only going to place 1 stitch into each. So at the end of round 11, you should still have 24 stitches. So I'm just going to start again with an increase here and back into the same. And then I'm going to work 1 into here and 1 into here. Okay, so you know what to do. Increase here, no increases for 10 and 11, and then I'll meet up with you at the start of round number 12. We're almost there. Okay, so I'm at the end of round number 11. Look at how it's taking shape. You can definitely see your tree coming to life here. Okay, so now we're going to go on to round number 12. So this is an increase round. And now we are going to increase into every 4th stitch. So that means between our increases, there's going to be 3 regular stitches and then an increase. So we're going to begin by stitching 3. So we have 1, that's the first one. I just want to replace my stitch marker. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now this is the 4th one. So this is where we were going to place our increase. So we have 1, and then we have 2. Okay, just like that. So your repeat now is going to be 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, and you're going to do that all the way around. So at the end of round number 12, you're going to have 30 stitches, okay? And then what I did is I did one more round, round number 13, which is what I did on those other trees, with just 1 increase in there. You can go up to round number 14 if you want. I would just gauge now. Like, for example, you might even want to stop now. Again, to create different heights and sizes, you see? So this is how you would kind of create some texture in your winterscape here. So this one's a little taller than this one, but just shorter than this one, you see? So again, you can play with this to create trees as tall or as short as you like. I'm going to do an increase here in round number 12 and then do one more round to reach round number 13, which is the number of rounds I did for these 3 trees here. So let's see what happens at the end of round number 13. Okay, you won't believe this, but this is the end of my yarn and I have 1 stitch remaining, but that's okay. So I've reached round number 13. If you want to do round number 14, you absolutely can do that. But basically my tree is done. I'm going to show you how we're going to finish this off, but I just wanted to show you something. So remember I said this one was 13 rounds. So they kind of look similar, but see, they're not, which is really strange. Now, what could have happened here is that I probably got a little tighter with my gauge, which tends to happen when you're doing multiple things over and over again. Now, those of you that have done lots of baby booties or even mittens, we all know whether you're knitting or crocheting, you never make 2 exactly the same ever because the tension in your hand changes as you continue to crochet. So this is a thing to just be prepared for in case you're going, how come mine didn't come out as tall, or maybe it's shorter? This is the nature of handmade goods. So don't panic, just kind of embrace it. I actually really like the fact that it's creating different heights. It really gives it this little kind of winter village feel. So yeah, don't stress about it. So now in case you're wondering, this one was 17 rounds. So you would just continue with your increases and non-increases if you actually specifically want to make one taller. And like I said before, if you can also just play around with your hooks and your yarn size, okay? So that is all I have to say about that. But one little thing is, as you kind of create more rounds, like if you do want to create one like the green tree, you would just keep increasing the number of stitches between your increases. So in round number 12, we did 3 stitches and increased, 3 and then increased. So your next increase would have 4. So you would do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then into the 5th stitch you would increase. And then the next increase you'd have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into the 6th stitch you increase. So hopefully, if you're a little newer, hopefully that makes sense. That would be your pattern that you would continue on. If you're an experienced crocheter, obviously you will know exactly what to do. Okay, so now let's fasten off here, because this is where people get kind of tripped up, because we were working in the spiral round, so you kind of have this little jump here. So I'm just going to take that out because we don't need that anymore. So I'm going to show you what I like to do to kind of smooth that edge out. So I'm actually going to take out probably about 3 stitches or so, just like that. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work into the next stitch, but I'm going to just work a regular single crochet. So instead of picking up this loop, which is just going to puff up the height, I'm just going to come down and go into the next stitch and single crochet. And this is already starting to bring the height of our stitch down. So what I'm trying to do is just smooth it out so that it gradually meets up through here. So I'm going to do another one, single crochet. Okay, so just to create more of a gradual slope. And now I'm going to work a slip stitch into the next one. Okay, so some people might just slip stitch right away, but for me, it just creates too much of a drastic jog. And so I will do several slip stitches because I just find that just one is still very abrupt. So I'll just do another slip stitch and I'll just keep going. Okay, now I am running out of yarn, so usually I do about 3 slip stitches, which I've done there. And then I just kind of turn it like that. So now you have much more, I'll just pull that out. So now you have much more of a gradual, see it still wants to, you can stretch this down a bit. I don't like when it looks like it's going whoop, which is what it's doing there. So I just turn the stitch down and then I'm gonna weave in my end and that's just gonna merge really nicely in there. Now, fun fact, when your tree is sitting, you actually want this lower dip here, I call it, to be in the front because that actually props up your tree really, really nicely. And nobody is the wiser. So I just have to weave that in and my tree is complete. Oh my goodness. I am so in love with my little winterscape here. And I love how it creates texture with different sizes and I am loving this. I'm actually making a bunch of these to sell at a craft fair, which I only do a craft fair once a year. It's at a local church that I'm really fond of, and we have a crochet club there and everything. So I'm going to be curious to see how these guys do this year because this is my first year creating this product to sell at the fair. So we'll see. What do you guys think? Would you guys buy this for your mantle? I'm thinking for the mantle, like a nice, pretty little winterscape, or even on a windowsill would look absolutely gorgeous. Or a tablescape would be really, really fun. So all kinds of things you can use this for. And like I said, you can make ornaments with it. But let me know in the comments, what do you plan on doing with your tree? And are you going to deviate from these colors, by the way? Like I really stuck to the neutral kind of rustic vintage Christmas look, but maybe you're going to go really bright and bombastic, like maybe make some pink trees or some yellow trees or orange trees. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you're going to do. Maybe you want to add some embellishments, like you want to kind of glue on some rhinestones. That would be fun too. So all kinds of possibilities. Either way, I hope you found this really fun and easy and super quick to make. But as always, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them for me in the comment box down below. And those of you that like to email me directly, I know many of you do, you can absolutely do that. Just email me at info@crochetcrafty.com. And make sure as always to attach a photo of your work so I can have a closer look at what's going on so I can better assist you. And if this is your first time here, oh my goodness, welcome. I'm so happy that you decided to hang out with me today. If you like today's tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend if you think someone else might be interested in creating a wonderful tree just like this. And I invite you to click that subscribe button. Come hang out with me every Wednesday morning when I upload a brand new tutorial. And of course, this season of the year, we're having lots of fun doing some fantastic holiday crocheting crafts. So I hope that you have an amazing day. Enjoy your crocheting and take good care of yourselves as always. And I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.